Okay, so Diane has a great question. Since I'm a podcast manager, how would I promote that? So, all right, let's think about this. Are you talking about, Diane, being in someone else's content, like how you could promote that, being a guest on someone else's podcast? Because there's a lot of different ways. I believe if you haven't, and it's funny because I see you doing this in your profile picture and now I'm doing it on my face. I don't know if that was like, have I done that this whole time? Was this like a subconscious thing? Now I'm touching my face because I see you going this. I like it. Anyway. But I think that it should be something that you're bringing up multiple times in an interview, in a, when I'm on a podcast as a speaker. Okay. This is a really good question. I want you to get comfortable saying the words clients, members of my community, people I've worked with previously, other podcasts I've worked with, I've collaborated with, partners that I have in this space. Like, start saying some of these words. Maybe you just need to sit down and brainstorm different ways you would talk about your client, because it is a little off-putting when somebody's like, oh, I'm a podcast manager. Let me come on your show and share what I know. It's not really compelling me to say, oh, I would love to have you on my podcast. It would need to be something a little bit above and beyond that. And even better, if you can work in, my previous clients have told me X, Y, and Z. A testimonial, y'all, listen, if you're doing something else, you got to listen to this. A testimonial, social proof, or someone else saying that you are amazing at what you do will go so much farther than you talking about how amazing you are. This is marketing 101. That this is why people have ratings, reviews, testimonials. It's why you see people take screenshots on Facebook and Instagram and all these places whenever they get like a shout out. I'm not kidding, I use Google Drive. I have an entire Google Drive folder filled with screenshots and testimonials and people that have said good things about my content. So if you're looking at ways, and I'm thinking about this as pitching first, and then we'll get into how to talk about it. But when you're pitching someone, you could absolutely include that in your pitch. You're like, yeah, I'm a podcast manager. Here's what so-and-so had to say about when they've worked with me in the past. And now I feel like I'm getting a little off tangent talking about marketing, specifically like your business and what you do. But when it comes to talking about being a podcast manager as a speaker, a guest on a podcast, I feel like that needs to be part of your pitch. I'm assuming that's why you're trying to get on other podcasts to grow your business, get in front of other clients. And so by doing that, I would imagine the thing that you're going to talk about on your podcast would be interrelated to being a podcast manager. So I'm going to give you a few examples. So if I were to have a podcast manager on my show, they would need to talk about ways that they can save podcasters time, money, energy, be able to spend more time with their family, or have, anything else that's related to the value, because that's all valuable to my audience, without their services. So this is very, very key. I don't like the idea of people going on to podcast, getting interviewed, being a guest on a show, and all they do is like, oh, let me tell you the 2 things, but really, if you want to have the other 5, you got to come, I think that's crap. Y'all, let's just call BS on the people that are trying to give content, valuable teachings on a podcast, but they only give you like 2 or 3 things. And then they're like, but you have to join my program if you want the rest of it, or you have to go download my freebie, or you have to do that. I'm all about teasing content, but you're picking the wrong thing if you can't deliver a full, complete thought in a podcast episode. Does this make sense? Is everybody like here with me? What I'm saying is you should have, like, if your talk, the thing that you're going to be talking about on a podcast episode can't stand on its own. If you're like, well, there's actually like, I teach these principles in my course, or, I say this in my own content. I don't know if I'm repeating myself, or I really don't want to give all of this away. Well, then you need to talk about something else. That's really what it all comes down to. And maybe it means you talk about the thing that's 2 or 3 steps before someone would ever hire you to be their podcast manager. So the thing that comes to mind for me is people that are probably overwhelmed or ready to quit, the ones that have no idea where to start or how to even think about creating a podcast. These are the types of people that would need to hire a podcast manager. So instead of saying, oh, well, I teach this, this, and this, or I help my clients with this, think about how you can bridge the gap for these people to where they would say, oh my gosh, I got to hire Dianne. Like she's fantastic. She spoke so well on this podcast. I loved her energy. I love what she talked about. And she offered so much value. I bet her paid services are incredible.